1, 2, 3, funk it.
My darling, I love you, 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 I love you.
3, 2, 1. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne?
That was really good.
Thank you, Kangsan.
Wow.
Thank you.
Was that a New Year's resolution of yours to sing better?
You can't get better at something you're so good at already. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Good Times with the Boys. On behalf of Kangsan and myself, I'd like to first say and wish everyone a very happy new year.
Yeah, first pod of 2019.
Oh, first of many. And, we're just going to keep the ball rolling here because our pilot year was very good, very promising. And obviously we have a lot of for you guys to thank. And I thank the boys here for sticking it out with me and everyone else. But, we're gonna keep the ball rolling into 2019. But it's only been the first week in 2019.
It's
and
been 5 days.
It's been 5 days of 2019, and we have so many things already to discuss.
Yeah, where do we begin? I didn't do anything for New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And this was the first year I didn't go out or wait for the countdown. I just went to sleep at like 11.
Okay.
And to be honest, I really didn't miss anything or any of it. Like I woke up and I saw, a lot of the videos of people celebrating, and I was like, oh, that's nice. But I didn't miss it per se. So it was like, oh, it was nice to know that like that's not something I yearn, so.
Yeah, I celebrated with some of my family members who live up in Palm Springs. And on the day of on New Year's Eve, my cousins and I we went hiking, right? The day of. And, I'm not the most fit guy, obviously. I don't have the best stamina. And I chose the hiking trail for me and my cousins to go on. And you would think that I was a seasoned veteran by choosing the trail.
Yeah.
Not by going, because it was a struggle, okay? And so I kind of did the same thing where when we finished hiking, we went to my cousin's house or my aunt's house and we waited there, and I passed out from 10 p.m. up until like 11:58 p.m.
Somebody woke you up?
Yeah, all my cousins were all exhausted, dude.
Yeah.
So we're all taking naps and shit, and so my mom comes up to us and says, hey, it's time to count down. And I look at my watch, just disoriented. I'm just like, oh, what time is it? It's 11:59. I'm like, oh, fuck. So you know how they watch it on TV, right? They count down with people on TV.
Yeah.
On the TV, there was an infomercial at 11:59 p.m. And I said, this is wrong because there should be the countdown like thing right now.
Yeah.
Right? They were fumbling with the remote control. They didn't know what channel to put it on. By that time, they got it to whatever the channel 4, which is pretty simple, right? Channel 4. It was like 12:01 already. And so we literally missed the countdown, and we're all just like, Happy New Year. You know what I mean? It was weird because and I started feeling it this year where it didn't have the same feeling of Happy New Year. Maybe it's because we're just all old. I woke up from a 2.5 hour nap maybe.
Yeah.
I was exhausted, but yeah, man, I totally understand the people who are just saying it doesn't really mean much to me. I literally fall asleep before the countdown and just wake up the next day.
Yeah. I mean, in reality, it's just another day.
True.
It's just another cycle around the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I think in a previous episode, we talked about sort of our goals for the new year. One goal that I did not have in mind was tearing my Achilles.
Boom, bombshell.
I was playing basketball, and it's how every Achilles injury that you hear, how it goes is how it went for me. I just took a step forward, and honestly, it just felt like somebody threw a weight at my leg, and you can't help but collapse. Like it just, there's no time to like think about what's happening because you're already on the floor. So because I moved, I heard a pop and I just fell. I immediately knew it was something with my foot, and I just grabbed onto my, like right above where the Achilles is, and I just like squeezed real hard because I was like, I think my Achilles is torn. I think I tore my Achilles, because I looked behind me, there's nobody up behind me, and I'm just like, okay. I was afraid to let go because I felt like if I let go, then the tendon would shoot up my leg. So I held on. They helped me sit on a bench on the other side of the court, and I just put some ice on it and left the elevator for a little bit. I was able to walk away, put weight on it. I can flex my toes or wiggle my toes and flex my foot. And I thought I was fine. I was just going to go to Target and get like some pain meds and a brace or something, just like sleep it off. But, my friend Jesse, who we went to high school with, is a nurse. And so I reached out to him. He told me to come over and checked it. And he's like, yeah, your Achilles is there. So then before I went to the hospital to get a splint on it, I'd take a shower. And so when I was taking a shower and I was trying to pull the pant leg off of, I had sweats on. So I was trying to pull the pant leg off of my left foot. And, you have some resistance, and I'm like trying to move my foot so the pant leg comes off, and I couldn't like move it enough where so I had to like move, instead of removing my foot from the pant leg, I have to remove the pant leg from my foot.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then I touched down, and he was like, just compare your right Achilles, which is the good one, and then your left Achilles. So my right Achilles, pressed on it, feedback, it's there, bounce back, it's strong. My left Achilles, I press it, and it's just like it just mushed in.
That's so weird.
It was so weird, and right above the heel too. So I'm like, this is where it should be, and it just like kept going in like a gel pad. It was weird.
God, dude.
But
that's yeah. If for those of you who are listening, I was trying to have Kangsan explain to me like the feeling of it, and as I was feeling my Achilles on my foot, and obviously there's tension there, and then he goes, well now press on anywhere on your calf, and that's basically what that feeling has been. Imagine that feeling where you think your Achilles should be, and that is so weird, dude.
Yeah, it sucks. I got to go see a orthopedist on Monday. Unfortunately, this happened on a Friday night, so I can't really there's no quick turnaround time, so who knows what's going to happen. But on the bright side of things, I'm in good spirits because there was no pain, which is good. A lot of times people describe it as like a very horrendous pain. So to not experience any pain at all, even when I'm trying to walk on it or flex it, I feel I'm very fortunate. Hopefully that means it's like a partial tear, and I won't need surgery, which would be nice because I don't have insurance. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's life. It couldn't come at a better time or a worse time, as I'm turning 30, and we're all talking about getting old and shit, and shit like this happens. But it's life. No matter how prepared you may be, some things are always unexpected, and it's more so about like how you respond to it. So on the bright side, I can use this time to read a lot of books, work on my writing, get creative with my photography because I won't be able to move. I'll be able to play some video games and just kind of overall do other things and try and enrich my mind, since I can't really do any physical activity for a while. And maybe this will help me lose the weight that I need to lose.
I mean, for someone as active as yourself, that is, I could foresee that being maybe the first month or two, but I'm pretty sure your mind is just going to start wandering, dude.
Yeah, I mean, before I even went to Jesse's yesterday on my way home, I was just like, in my mind, I was like, okay, like I got to just look up some rehab exercises and I'll be back in the gym the next day. Whatever it is, like maybe it's like a light resistance bike, or I walk in the pool or whatever. Like I was looking forward to what do I got to do to get this better. I didn't realize my Achilles was torn. It didn't feel like it. It just thought it felt like a severe ankle sprain, like a high ankle sprain. at least that's what I thought it was. I was like, there's no other reason. If my Achilles isn't torn, it has to be something else.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like anything lost its support, which made me think it was a sprain. So I was just ready. But now, obviously, I was looking at videos and articles from like till 2 a.m. last night. It's just like, no matter how giddy you are, you have to really be patient and careful with this process, because how it heals and how it attaches will affect pretty much the rest of your life, and chances of it getting hurt again and all this other stuff. So as I just have to find that gusto, that energy that I have to go to the gym, I just have to find it, put it into something else, and focus my time elsewhere.
Throughout your research, did you see if they said that it would ever reattach?
It depends on the condition of the Achilles, and I think they would have to take imaging or like MRI or something to determine it. But I know somebody up in the Bay, actually, during my time as a practice player on the San Diego State women's basketball team. She used to play there, Janae Morris. She was former WNBA first-round pick. She actually tore her Achilles 11 days ago as of January 5th. And so she told me hers was completely torn, and they went with a non-surgical route. So I think there are options. It just depends on the condition of my Achilles on Monday. So for now, just sitting, elevating, drinking water, ibuprofen.
It's weird because it sounds like when things like that happen, there are certain, I guess you could say, injuries, or when you feel something happening, you almost know, when you are stretching, or when you're moving around and you move, say, your shoulder in a weird way, and you could feel it like pop out a little bit. You feel it like, oh my God, it's out of its like cuff, right?
Yeah.
Or when you come down after you're jumping for a rebound, or if you're just jumping in period, and you feel a slight roll, it's like you automatically know you rolled your ankle.
Yeah.
But it's weird to see, because all what I've seen from, well, just sports, just because I've only seen it in sports, when people like non-contact fall, it's like, oh, that's pretty bad. 'Cause that's what Kobe did. Well, I mean, he was kind of in contact, but
Kobe, DeMarcus Cousins, I think Zach LaVine, a lot of NFL. You see a lot of it in the NFL. I'm by no means am I a professional athlete, but
close.
In the context of non-contact injuries, it's weird, because I swear, like, if you had to ask me, I felt like somebody was behind me.
Wow.
And so I turned around, nobody was there, and I was asking Raph, and I was like, hey, is there anybody behind me? He's like, nah, dude, you just fell. And I was like, oh shit. Like, okay, then that's how I knew it was pretty serious. But
jeez.
Count my lucky stars, minimal pain, if any. I was able to get some medical assistance from Jesse, and we'll figure it out. We'll see what happens, but it's a long road. There was this guy on YouTube who, like, a year ago, like, had videos like every 4 weeks of his Achilles recovery. This guy, I forgot his name, but he was mentioning, like, I was kind of watching his videos, and he's just going over, like, first 2 weeks, obviously don't do anything, and then from there they give you, rehab exercises that you can do. And then the first 2 months, you're not really doing much. You're just kind of moving it around a little bit. And then from month like 2 to like 6, you're walking on a treadmill. You can move, but nothing on an incline where it's forcing your tendon to stretch more that way. You can walk on a decline where it's shortening it, but primarily everything's flat surface. From there, then you start to kind of do calf raises, but not like just on a flat ground.
Right,
you don't want to like dip your heel all the way like lower than it should. And then you kind of progress it. It takes about a full year to kind of get back to 100%. But I mean, it's whatever. It's 1 year sacrifice for ideally a lifetime worth of being okay. So
what happens if when you come back, you can like dunk?
Dude, that would be so sick.
So dope, dude.
So I'll just be doing, when I'm bored, I'll probably just do like crunches or something, and
just get that prison body, dog.
Yeah, I got
the prison body that we've always been wanting.
Gotta get the prison body. I gotta learn how to like keister. Wait, what?
Keister?
Yeah, shut stuff up your body. Just prison body.
That's what a keister is?
Yeah.
Isn't a keister a food?
That's a quiche.
Oh. I've been saying the wrong thing.
Hi, welcome to Applebee's. What can I get you? Can I get a keister?
Can I get the keister, please?
I want a cheese and broccoli keister. What?
Fuck.
So we'll see, man. Stay tuned, fam.
He's down, but he's not out. He's
Nah,
down. He's
never
not out. If anyone also has any information that they want to chime in, send us some info. We are by no means scientists.
Yeah.
However, we are surrounded by a lot of people in the medical profession, so we are fortunate with that. But yeah, if you guys have anything, let us know. But it's you can add Kangsan on PSN on the network just because he's probably going to be on there for an extended amount of time.
Yeah,
but,
for sure. FIFA 2K, let's go.
Hey,
I'm not good.
down but not out. Yeah, man. It's 2019 got off to quite of a bang. I've also been trying to, although I tell Kangsan this and all my buddies this all the time. I don't believe in resolutions, but I do believe in goals. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I've been trying to compartmentalize my goals, just so it's not too far fetched.
Yeah,
right. Just so it's not like the Pokemon far fetched, right? And so I've been trying to do smaller stuff where I kind of gauge it where it's obviously super easy to attain, but it's kind of like that mentality where when you get up, you do your bed. It's not difficult. It's just that you get it ingrained in your mind that you've done something and you accomplished something in the beginning of the day, right? So that's kind of like my crutch. Like, do something easy. Don't hit the snooze button. Just get up. And so it's been stemming from there. But a lot of it has been coming from my health, just because I'm a big dude now, and I never really was. Struggled with weight a little bit. But I'm making small strides. Okay, 2019 again is off to a better start for me, health-wise, I guess, if you will. But I guess there will come a time where I would have to extend those goals. But if I can't even do the small ones, then I can't. I shouldn't be able to, or I shouldn't be looking at those yet. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the small wins, the slow wins. I went hiking, as I mentioned earlier, and I think I want to do more hiking this year.
Ooh, okay.
That'll be nice. It's unfortunate that.
Yeah, I'll cheer you on from the bottom
from
of the
bottom
trail.
of the mountain. But I put it this way: by the time Kangsan gets healthy towards the middle of the year, by that time I won't be as fat and it won't be as difficult to hike. Because I tell you what, dude, I struggled so bad.
Were there a lot of like changes in elevation, or was it just a sheer distance of it all?
Kangsan, we were traversing boulders. Bro, for anyone that doesn't know this hiking trail, it's called Black Star Canyon Trailhead, or Black Star Canyon Trail, up in the hills of Orange, past Tustin a little bit. And it's for if Kangsan, obviously without his injury, if Kangsan just regularly by himself, he would get up there no problem. Okay. But people who are a little more heavy set, dude, you have to. It starts off first as a regular trail.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of an incline. It's just literally a trail that you're walking. And even at that, I was like, man, I'm kind of tired right now. Right.
Uh-huh. And
then finally it goes into, it splits off. There is one trail where I think it is maybe a 10 mile back and forth. Uh-huh. So round trip where you go left and it goes all the way up. And then there's one called Black Star Canyon Falls, where you go right and you go down into where the falls is supposed to be, or some type of river, whatever it is. And that one was 6 miles round trip. But the 6 miles is after maybe 1.75 miles of it going up, and then 2.5 miles round trip is going over rocks and boulders. Okay. So you go down this hill where there's a walkway, and then finally you're in like a riverbed, and you're just like walking over rocks and all that stuff. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? And then, bro, I'm telling you, like, you have to be able to like hoist yourself up onto like rocks and stuff. There are places where you can like put your foot into and like, use your feet. Yeah. But like, I don't remember.
Are you sure you were on the right trail? Did you go off-roading?
Bro, my cousin who visited here from Virginia, shout out to Kui King, he hikes a lot in Virginia. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of land out there, a lot of trees, so it's more scenic, right? And so we were doing it, and he was like, man, I didn't know you were this adventurous, Mac. Like, this is a good trail. And I'm thinking in my mind, I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But in my mind, I was like, fuck, man. Dude, I'm about to, I swear to God, I was going to have a fucking heart attack. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. But I think the boys would enjoy that. It's a good, obviously it's a good physical workout, but man, it's like mentally grueling too, because it was our first time there.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know where the end was going to be. And one of my other cousins who came with us, he's like a fucking monkey, dude. Like he's small, he's a little bit slimmer, so he was just running up the mountain, but we didn't know where the falls were going to be. Spoiler alert, the fountain or the waterfall has no water. So if you guys are planning on going to Black Star Canyon Road, just know that when you guys get up to the top, yeah, there's no water. But yeah, hiking, I want to do that. Obviously, I want to be more physically inclined this year, and maybe now that Kangsan has a little more time, maybe I'll use Kangsan as my confidant personal trainer now again this year. But it was off to a strong start.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and part of me, after everything was taken care of yesterday and I was driving home, I was waiting to make a left at a light, and I just hear this cop car roaring right past me, and it makes a right on Sepulveda. I was like, what is going on? I thought nothing of it. I was like, whatever, it's probably like some late night thing. Wake up this morning, realize I like to check Twitter for the for what's trending out there for sort of the news. And our local bowling place, Gable House Bowl, apparently, as the story goes, some kids were in an argument when somebody decided to pull out a gun. Shots were fired. And now, unfortunately, 3 people are reported dead. And I think a couple others went to the hospital for injuries. Mm-hmm. And I think some took themselves, which is, I guess, a good sign if you can kind of take yourself to the hospital.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
But it just speaks to I don't know, it escapes all logic in my mind, because we're in a city of Torrance, whom is often like the forgotten area of LA. For those who don't know where this bowling alley is, it's in a sort of a strip mall next to a bank, a Japanese market, laser tag.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A Korean barbecue restaurant.
There's a jewelry store like around
jewelry
the corner.
Store, urgent care. Like, it is a family-centric area, and it's in a nice part of town. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, these guys, and I don't know how old they are, I'm assuming that they're young enough, I guess, to be so silly, decided to up the ante, and people have paid the ultimate price for it. And that's just, it's very unfortunate, because I don't think it ever needs to get to that point. You know, the idea of firearms and fire safety is for self-defense primarily. And at what point in a bowling alley do you feel like you need to do that? You know, what action in a bowling alley justifies you firing at somebody? So, thank you to my friends out there who reached out and just wanted to make sure I didn't go bowling last night. I'm glad that in the grand scheme of things, I might have a torn Achilles, but you're
not dead.
I'm not dead. So
we don't say that maliciously. It's
just, I gotta, you gotta kind of count your blessings where you can find them. So
it was crazy because my golf buddies went bowling yesterday also, and they were like, hey, you want to go bowling, but I had a few errands to run and all that. But they went bowling in Cerritos.
Okay.
AMF in Cerritos, right?
Yeah.
And so it was funny. As I'm sure I'm hoping all you guys know, we partake in a lot of bowling.
Yeah.
We did so a lot this year. We rekindled the fun that we used to have many years ago, and have now turned it into a hobby and almost an addiction at one point in 2018. But Gable House was one of the places where we went to quite often. It is open late. They serve alcohol there. They serve food. It's just there's an arcade there. It's weird, man. As Kangsan was saying, it is a family establishment. The area around it looks really nice, But if you haven't been to Gable House, when you go into that strip mall, it does feel a little seedy, right? It does feel a little
Yeah,
weird.
I mean the lighting is dim, but I learned how to bowl in that bowling alley
Right?
when I was a kid. And at my last job, that's where we would have summer company parties.
That's right.
Dressed up as a bowling pin. Like that place reminds you of the good times. It's like a very in the modern world, it's a very old school bowling alley. You know, the lanes are pretty modernized, but there's old arcade games. There's the old school bar in the back. You get, you know, just your traditional American divey bowling food.
Yeah.
You know, pepperoni pizza that seemingly was microwaved.
Hey, they got a Pizza Hut in there now.
Chicken tenders, French fries that are really wide, the steak fries. Like, you know, it's just which so reminiscent of my childhood, and it sucks that somebody has decided to, you know, kind of scar it.
Yeah, it's. I think it started from an altercation between some young ladies who got into a brawl / fist fight, whatever, and then it escalated to some. Because I think what happened was, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I read a lot about it this morning, was that the dude who, the suspect who started shooting, wasn't even strapped at the time, but he had gone back out to his car, literally popped the trunk on these fools, and then went back in and then started shooting, right? And then I think 12 to 15 shots were fired. So dude probably had like some type of extended mag or something like that. But yeah, it's just weird because if you're not familiar with the area where it looked like it took place, it was near like the front entrance. But you know, when you get out of the front entrance is the parking lot, but you still have to walk to your car. You would feel like in the heat of the moment when you're getting out, unless you're, I mean, I've been there before maybe where all I see is red and there's rage and like nothing can really take me out of it. But you know, the conscious effort to disengage from the fight that's happening, open the door, go outside. It's cold outside, right? It's cold. You go outside, you go into your car, you get your strap, you close your door, you come back inside and you start blasting everybody. There's a lot of time in between there to do some thinking. You know what I mean?
Do you know what happened to the suspect?
I don't know if he took his own life or if he just ran, because they never said it was like some guy killed himself or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he just ran, but I mean, it was very cowardice, obviously, but
yeah, it's just, it's frustrating. I'm dumbfounded. You know, in today's world where so much, so many of things are highlighted by violence, it's just sad that it feels like it's just another event that occurs, you know, and it's very unfortunate.
I feel like this is I don't know. I forgot what the definitions were, the considerations to be considered like a mass shooting or something like that. But if this is considered one of them, I feel really bad for the city of Torrance, just because, like, if it happened in, well, I feel also bad for all the other cities that happens in also as well.
Right.
But obviously, this hits very close to home, literally, and it's the city of Torrance. You know, there's just old white and Japanese people around here, and old Asian people, and then us, and all that. So, it's weird that when you start thinking about things that happen close to home, or you think that, oh, it'll never happen here, and then it gets like closer and closer, and all these shootings and all that stuff, it gets a little hairy, you know. But yeah, man, you just gotta keep your head on a swivel, be smart about your decisions. You know, don't partake in, I guess, certain activities that would escalate into something. It's just, you know, if you, as we've said a lot in 2018, do the right thing, right? And it shouldn't get to that point. But I'm just hoping the people that were injured, or none of the people, well, I don't want anyone to be injured or pass away, but hopefully none of them were like collateral damage or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? You know, it's on one hand, you know, people can say like, you know, we have to be more careful about where we go now, but it's fucking bowling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, like, is bowling now too dangerous? It's such a weird, silly thing to have to think about. It shouldn't have to come to people like that. And unfortunately, for some families, it's definitely going to be that now. And it just sucks because it's just supposed to be family fun. I don't even know how an argument at a bowling alley can escalate like that. Like, what aspect of bowling or like the common courtesy of bowling would it escalate to a point where like to get so violent? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
If people are bowling and people are being sloppy, maybe bowling at the same time you are, kind of breaking the so-called etiquette of bowling. None of that would still warrant a lot violence as a logical response. It would just be like, I'm just gonna move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just tell somebody else, like, yo, like, these guys are fucking with me. I don't know. You know, it
was doubly crazy. I don't know if you saw the video that the dude posted. So there was a video.
What was up with that guy? Some guy was like posting on like,
he was Facebook living, right?
that's such a not a good idea.
I mean, it's like I don't get it, but obviously in the era that we're in, I get it. But so for whatever reason, documentation purposes or just to show what is happening. So again, for people who aren't familiar with that, Kangsan is, but so they were on the lower number side of the lanes.
Yeah.
Okay. I hit up Andrew last night to see if he wanted to go bowling. All right. Gable House came to my mind. We have Gable House and there's another one down closer to where we live. Shout out to Bolero. But I had Gable House in my mind. Usually when me and Andrew go, we take lane 1 and 2.
Oh shit.
And we do a tournament style where we just switch back and forth, right? Because it's just us two. And all that shit happened in like lane 4, 5, and 6, or
Damn.
3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? It's just, it's weird, man. Like this whole destiny or fate or all that stuff. It's weird how things work. And ultimately, I said, you know what, Andrew, never mind. I got a good parking outside my house. I'm just gonna stay at home. And Andrew was like, yeah, that's good. I have to talk to Brian for like the bachelor party kind of stuff or whatever. I'm like, cool, that's fine. But it's just it's weird, man. Like just how things are supposed to fall. And sometimes I forget about if I believe in destiny or fate, because I believe we all make our own destiny. We all. No one tells me how I'm going to do. I want to do it the way I want to do it.
Right.
And so it's just the weird, all the combinations that can happen, all the permutations that can happen in life are a product of your decisions, So that one was just, yeah, dude. Yeah. When I woke up this morning and I read that, I was like, fuck, bro. Like that could have been really bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's just some events or some decisions that you make and you're just like, I can't logically comprehend. I can't explain it. There's no way to wrap your head around it. You're just like, fuck, like, I don't know what it was. It's just, it is what it is kind of thing. And it's kind of like how I was thinking about my Achilles. I'm like, okay, maybe it was time, at a certain point, maybe it was just time to go. What other scenarios could I have been in? It's a relatively controlled environment, basketball. It was relatively painless. I had people around me. It could have easily been like, what if I went hiking with you?
Right, exactly.
And I popped the Achilles, and now we're in the middle of the fucking woods, and you have to carry my body all the way down. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would do it, Kang-san.
I know you would, but it's very unfavorable for you. Seeing that I weigh 205 pounds, but it's just trippy. Yeah, there's certain events where you're just like, fuck, like what happened is sometimes hard to really logically understand.
What do you think happens to them now?
To Gable House?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna have to figure this shit out, and they've been shut down before.
Oh, really?
I don't think it was because of a shooting, but they have been shut down before because there was violence in lanes, and that was years ago. I feel like in the long run, things will just sort of calm down and even out. Maybe they beef up the security or whatever in the short term.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, it just sucks. I don't think that Gable House is a place that incites violence or condones violence. Matter of fact, like everything inside Gable House is actually like very just fun. It's for kids. So, I hope nothing bad happens to that establishment or the people that own that place, because there wasn't anything that I know of that really would have faulted them for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's tough.
Yeah, so I guess I just got to go to Bolero now.
Yeah, you might want to stick with Wii bowling for a little bit. It's indoors.
So you didn't buy a Switch, did you?
No.
Okay. I know you were on the fence about that.
I still am.
Really?
Dude, the Switch is so fun.
It is.
I was playing
now
Smash.
you have the time, we might as well let's get you a Switch, dude.
I was playing Smash with them the other day, and kind of once you kind of get the groove into things, then you can have some fun, man.
I forgot how fun. Actually, I didn't forget. I just missed the fun of the Super Smash Brothers and and all that. But man, I was hoping for it to go on like some crazy deal on Black Friday.
And it didn't.
And all they did was throw in a game and like increase the price a little bit, or kept the price the same and threw in a game.
Huh.
You know what I mean? But then anyway, it's mad fresh. But they're making strides in that, and who knows? Maybe I'll get a Switch, or I'll just use Andrews.
No,
I'll just continue to use Andrews.
one or the other.
I have a big game this afternoon.
Okay,
I have a big game this afternoon.
you're playing in it.
You
might as well.
I might as well. In spirit.
Yeah.
In spirit. First of all, when does Super Bowl happen?
Super Bowl is about a month from now.
That's right. And
4 or 5 weeks.
Beginning
from
February,
now.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's this round, next round, the wild card divisional championship, week off, and then the Super Bowl. So 5 weeks. So probably the second weekend of February.
ESPN did a little Cinderella story, or not Cinderella story. What do you call those things? It's how it might play out for the remaining playoff teams. I obviously read none of them, but the Colts one, obviously. And I didn't know when the writer was writing it that he was writing it in the form of the hypodermics, right? Like this is what could happen. And then he was writing stuff about like, and when they skunked the Dallas Cowboys, now they would meet each other like in the finals or something like that, and man, it's a nail biter. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And then I was reading it, but obviously a lot of it again is kind of out there.
Yeah,
but
you're all in for it.
I'm all in, dude. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. Who knows? Okay, anything is possible.
Yeah, that's very true.
Want to know?
The thing that we got to do is look back at the episode where we try to guess the over-unders.
I think about that every time.
We got to see what we got right. It's in that bag somewhere where we have pieces of paper, so we'll have to dig that up.
I like that. That'll be maybe like a pre-Super Bowl episode.
Yeah, but I mean, that would be fun. It'd be cool to see the Colts have some success in their later years since they've been struggling for a while.
Yeah.
On a funny note, though, or rather ironic note, their former GM Ryan Grigson has actually been being interviewed by the Raiders for like a job in the front office.
No shit.
And before, it was just a rumor that one of the Bay Area teams was interested in Ryan Grigson, and then the Niners, which is my team, the Niners proactively went out and said, "We are not the team." That should say something about this person's inability.
Exactly.
That they go to a rumor and they're like, no. This is not it. So
I feel bad for that guy, but I fucking don't. I really
he's made
don't.
some terrible decisions.
He's a horrible guy.
But yeah, I just thought that was really funny. Usually rumors, people just ignore them. If it's not true but harmless, it's just like, whatever. I won't discuss it. But
yeah,
the fact that Niners was like, no, don't get started with this. No. Who do you think we are? That was pretty funny.
They do better next year, Niners.
Yeah, one thing I'm scared of is
Jimmy G is right.
So the Niners are one of 5 teams that HBO can make them do Hard Knocks.
Oh, cool.
Hard Knocks, the teams that do Hard Knocks always underperform that year.
Sure.
Except for the Browns. I mean, the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
But in recent years, the Rams, the Hard Knocks, they were 8-8. I think before that was like Houston, and then everybody got hurt. And then before that, it was Tampa Bay, and then they sucked. So I'm a little scared of that part. The GM and the head coach came out and said like they would not want to do Hard Knocks. They believe some things they should just be behind closed doors. Like they don't want to cut a player in front of a camera. You know,
That suck.
that stuff is vicious. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that at least the leadership on the 49ers, puts that. But we'll be good. We're picking number 2 overall, so we're gonna get a good player.
Wow.
And we'll get our quarterback back. We'll get our running back back. We have a decent offensive line. We have some pretty key players in the skill positions. So Rich Sherman also tore his Achilles 2 seasons ago, and this season was his bounce back year. So, shout out to Richard Sherman. Me and you, we got something in common now. So I'll tweet at him and see if he'll tweet me back. He's like, hey, I need some advice. I tore my Achilles. What do I do?
He's like, hey, for someone who's like kind of like an athlete,
Yeah.
How would you do this?
I would say I'm like an amateur athlete, but I'm an athlete.
Is that how they determine the hard knocks?
The hard knocks. So if your team has done it before, you don't have to do it again.
Okay.
And if your team made the playoffs the previous season, you don't have to do it.
Okay.
So eliminating all of those, so the teams that are in the playoffs now and the teams that have done it before.
Okay.
There's only about 5 teams left that can be forced to do it. So any team can realistically volunteer, but no team really wants to volunteer.
Right.
So they would just be forced.
They force them to do it?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just say no?
I don't think so. I think it's just one of those things where it's like, listen, you're going to do Hard Knocks this year. Because it is just the off season.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's like, it's interesting if you're a fan and you get the inside scoop.
Yeah.
But also it's kind of tough because, the way that they edit and cut, it's like, certain players are going to look smart. Certain players are going to look dumb.
Right.
You got to cut players. You got to sign players. There's all these things that happen. So,
do the teams get paid for that?
I don't think so. Yeah. I'm hoping it's the Raiders. The Raiders are one of the teams that can be forced, and they're moving to Vegas. I think that's an interesting storyline.
That would be so crazy.
So I hope that they do it because right now they're trash. They have John Gruden. They hired Mike Mayock, who from the NFL Network. He's the guy that does all the mock drafts and shit, and he would be be part of the televised crew during the NFL draft. He got hired as the GM, and now they want Ryan Grigson to come on. Like, that's it.
What?
That's chaos right there waiting to happen. It's gonna be phenomenal.
That's gonna be. And the Raiders were just getting good.
They traded away their best wide receiver, and they traded away their best defensive player, one of the best defensive players in our generation.
Yeah.
And who said it? I think Shannon Sharp said it that John Gruden should get GM of the year because he made the Bears and the Cowboys better because they're both in the playoffs, fighting for his chance to win the Super Bowl, and the Raiders are picking 3rd overall.
Hey, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna.
It's crazy.
And then then
they traded these players for 1st-round picks, thinking these 2 teams are going to suck. And now that they're in the playoffs, it's going to be late 1st-round picks. So it's like, what value did you really get?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'd like to think that. No, the owners, the GMs, presidents, all that stuff. I mean, their invested interest is in their pockets, is in their wallets.
Very much so.
Right, not necessarily for the team itself. So I want to say maybe I don't want to say that they're doing it for the best of everyone. No, hell no. It's an invested interest in their own personal interest. So I don't think they have the benefit of. I don't want to give them benefit of the doubt.
They even signed Nathan Peterman.
Dude, when I heard that, I was like, you mean like the dude who's like on all the memes and all that stuff,
and this is why the Colin Kaepernick thing sticks around. It stays in the news media because yes, Colin Kaepernick is not the best quarterback in the National Football League, or would be if he was. Mm-hmm. Yes, when he was on the Niners, he led him to the Super Bowl, and then he sucked ass for like 2 years.
Correct.
I get all well and good in that, but the reason why I support the whole Colin Kaepernick thing is for moments like this when you sign fucking Nathan Peterman, who set the record for like the most interceptions thrown in 1/2 of a game with 5. You sign him.
That's amazing.
As a backup over Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
That is just ridiculous. Washington was playing Josh Johnson, who didn't throw a football since 2011 and had to memorize. He learned his teammates' names by playing Madden. He got signed and he needed to learn the players' names, so he popped Madden and played as.
Hey, because all I'm hearing is just saying that dreams do come true. Dude, dreams are coming. Nathan Peterman got a third chance or a second chance. Josh Johnson, whatever his name is he's a quarterback in the NFL. Dreams are coming true.
It's just so ridiculous.
That's so stupid,
dude. Like literally, you can't make this stuff up. This is like in any other circumstance. If you're an employer,
yeah,
and somebody applies for a position at your company, candidate A is somebody who may not be the best, but certainly isn't the worst, has a lot of potential, but is known for speaking his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Candidate B has not worked since 2011 and had to memorize the people in your company by looking you up on LinkedIn. And candidate C set a record for the worst sales numbers for a half a year on another company in your industry that you are aware of and that they fired him for. You're telling me you would pick B and C over A? It just, the fact that like me and you are sitting here in my apartment and we understand the logic behind why this is so silly, and yet these billionaire owners
right.
have no idea what the fuck is going on. It's so silly to me. It's ludicrous. Like even some of the, okay, I get, there were a couple teams this year who had quarterbacks that got injured, but were still in contention for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So instead of signing Colin Kaepernick, they went with their backup because the logic is they spent an entire offseason with us. They know our playbook. Mm-hmm. We just plug and play and go. We have to take our chances. Mm-hmm. Even if Colin Kaepernick has the potential to be a better quarterback. If they sign Colin Kaepernick, they would have to limit the offense and let him learn and ease into it. And that can increase the risk of losing games. Mm-hmm. I get that. That I have no argument against. But it's just these other instances where it's like, all right, look, your team's not that good. You're only signing for a backup. Why not give this man a chance? Like at least say, hey, come in for a workout. Let me see what you can do.
Right,
Compete against the guy that throwing 5 interceptions. Let me see what you can do. Compete against the guy who hasn't thrown a football since 2011 in an NFL game. Let me see what you can do.
I mean, if there was a time to experiment, it would be this time.
If you have to stoop so low that some guy you pick has to remember guys from a video game, I think that's the time where you're trying to.
That is such a good story, dude. That is such a that is almost like a Cinderella story. Just kind of like, oh man, this is my chance. It's one of those stories where it's like, yeah, I lived in my car, and my parents divorced, and man, like my dog ran away, but you know what, man, like I'm a
quarterback.
I'm a quarterback, dude. I'm a quarterback. I got a PS4. I played Madden, and look, I'm a quarterback. Like that's how I see it. So it's like I feel bad for talking shit on the guy, but it's like that's an amazing story, dog.
You know what? And it also helps fuel the idea of the casual fan thinking, I could do that.
That's true. That's right.
Because you know what? If that's all it takes, I could throw 5 interceptions in one half easy.
You know what? I feel it now. Literally, now that we're talking about it, I feel it now that the impact, and it's kind of like a catch-22, but the impact of what Colin Kaepernick has done mm-hmm. in the eyes of an owner of an NFL team, their thought of him being a liability is slowly diminishing, right? While his voice is still being heard.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's because it's already been 2-3 years now almost, or however long it is, that we're going to start seeing a shift in the thoughts of these owners. Hopefully, right? Hopefully give this dude a job and make the NFL more fun. It's a holistic ideal where he can still voice his opinion the whole kneeling thing is not gonna maybe mean as much as a talking shit to Americans kind of thing, but whereas just like, okay, we're understanding,
Yeah.
and maybe come to a compromise, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I feel like a lot of the NFL owners that are a little bit older have a different mindset than the NFL owners that are a bit younger. You know, but only time will tell. At the end of the day, the truth will always win. And I think that's what we're seeing in the criticism in the NFL, and Colin sort of just continuously doing what he said he would do. You know, he's a man of his word, and he stuck it out, which is something that
Amazing.
should be commended, because a lot of times when the pressure's on, sometimes you have to decide, do you conform? Do you continue? What do you do? There's a risk either way. You know, there's a lot of variables. So for him to be very steadfast and say, this is my mission, I'm going to do it regardless of whatever else happens around me. You know, shout out to Colin Kaepernick for that. Man, it's only January 5th.
I know. I know.
So much shit has happened. Well, hopefully what I would hope for in terms of the Super Bowl for German's sake is a rematch between the Saints and the Colts.
Yes.
Because A, it would make for a good story. You know, the Colts organization can finally beat the Saints because the Saints beat the Colts the first time. B, if the Colts win, very happy for German. You know, he
drinking food on me.
Yeah, he might cry and I'll get free food. C, if the Saints win, we put a bet on them early in the year, so we win. So it's
a win-win.
If there's a way to have the best of both worlds or a compromise, that would be the ultimate payout. And with that being said, it'll probably be some like Eagles and Bears bullshit.
I know,
like,
some bullshit like that, dude.
Some like Chargers and like the Ravens or something. Just weird ass like matchups. So I don't know.
I'm waiting for that Ravens. I'm hoping Ravens win against
the Chargers.
The Chargers.
Yeah.
Just because it'll be nice to see Baltimore and the Colts go at it. Former Baltimore Colts.
Yeah.
Right. So that'll be kind of
some history there.
A weird homage. However, I have a lot of San Diego players playing in my bets.
They're LA now.
Damn it, Kangsan. I'm not gonna get that down, dog.
They deserve to be in San Diego, or they should have stayed in San Diego. But you know, the Spanos family, it is what it is. I won't add any more than that. They just
the LA Chargers.
That's just, yeah, and that's another thing. I don't get how like the owners are asking the city to fund their team or fund the stadium that the team plays in. That makes no sense to me either.
No shit.
Well, yeah, and that's what like. So that's the reason why San Diego Chargers moved to LA.
Okay.
They wanted to renovate and create a different Qualcomm, and the Spanos family decided it would be a great idea if they put it up as an increase in tax for the citizens of San Diego to help fund for the building.
Oh, they did this in San Diego.
Yeah, so the citizens of San Diego said, "No, fuck you, get out." So he left, and that's why he came to LA.
And we said, okay.
No. But and then that was another thing why the Robert Sarver, the owner of the Suns in Phoenix, also recently caught some heat a month ago because there came a rumor where he was holding the Suns hostage. Like he's like, I'll move unless the city pays for a new stadium or a new arena. I'll move the team.
Crazy.
And then same thing happened with the Bucks in Milwaukee. Like these owners, they are willing to put up like, let's say a project costs $300 million. They're willing to put up 150 of it, and then they want the city to put up the other 150. But it's like, does the city then get portions of your profits?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
They don't.
Or like some type of like tax break or whatever.
Yeah, there's no way. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
The owner's sort of strategy is saying like, listen, if we get a new stadium, then we're gonna increase property value around the area. We're gonna increase traffic, which will increase business for the surrounding cities. So the return in pay for helping us fund for the arena is for the alleged boost in business.
Right.
But it's a gamble. It's not a proportionate or it doesn't like scale up the same proportion that like an NBA game would scale up, right? So it's like
right.
I mean, I'm sure there's far more complicated finances and laws and regulations than we're thinking of, but from just a common sense standpoint, if you're a fucking billionaire or 100 millionaire, fork over the damn money, because
right.
You own the fucking team. Like, after you do it, it's sort of like buying a car and then asking if I have a car and I'm like, hey Jeremy, I gotta get oil change. Can you give me $30?
Right. Yeah.
Or
it's like, hey Kangsan, I bought a car. You ride in my car sometimes, right? Do you want to give me like maybe like 20% for it?
Yeah.
Or like 25%?
Like, give me like $10 a month and you can get like 5 rides.
Yeah.
And both scenarios, we would both be like, no, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I just feel bad for the people who are like the actual contributors, the what do you call them? The season ticket holders, right?
The fans.
The fans, they'll pay like thousands of dollars for the
They're
tickets.
the ones that suffer in all this, because it's like, new stadium's great, but then there goes higher ticket prices.
Mm-hmm.
Teams winning, that's great. There's higher ticket prices. Like, it's just like, no matter what, the fans lose out financially, or at least monetarily, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like before any big business decision is made, they should dumb it down to like an 8-year-old level, where it's like, okay, if I have a toy
Yeah.
and I want to give you the toy, will you buy it for 2 times market value? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you should be able to settle most disputes that way.
Yeah. I think take some time with it and literally bring in 8-year-olds.
Seriously, be like, hey, this is what we're trying to do, and the 8-year-old will be like, no, it's stupid. It's like, okay, well, there's your answer. This is a topic I want to talk about.
That was so good.
Let's close on this.
All right on.
Comedy.
Love it.
Recently, a lot of audio has been leaked of a set from Louis C.K. For those who don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I think, Louis C.K. was accused of sexual harassment. To put it in mild terms, he was exposing himself and working it in front of
He was jacking
women.
off in front of women.
Yes. And during that time, a lot of it was just, he said, I'm going to take a step back, listen to what happened, really assess what I am and who I am, and try to become better from it. That was like the last thing he said as he stepped away from the limelight. An old clip resurfaced recently based on the news that of the audio leaks, where Louis C.K. was talking about the Parkland shooting victims. We're talking about gender norms and gender pronouns, and he was making jokes about them. Mm-hmm. An old video resurfaced. It was Jerry Seinfeld, Ricky Gervais, Chris Rock, and Louis C.K.
Wow.
In this clip is 40 seconds long. Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais are saying the N-word, like with the hard R.
The hard R. Ooh.
And they're joking with the conversation was with Chris Rock was, there's 2 types of white comics. There's Jerry Seinfeld, and Jerry's like, I don't say that word. It's not my place to say it, and it's just not it's not who I am. Mm-hmm. And Ricky Gervais and Louis C.K. are like, you see what? But we're the ones that we're okay with saying it in our stand-up routine. I'm saying it right now. Boom, he says it. Ricky Gervais says, I'm the one that can say. Boom, he says it again. And then to Jerry Seinfeld, it's like, you're the one who can't. And then, Chris Rock is like, they're all joking around, whatever. And it looked like a video from like 90s, maybe, based on like the furniture and like the clothes they were wearing. But
were they sitting in a circle and there were audiences around them?
no, it was like a private thing where it was like 2 chairs, a table, and then 2 on both sides.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of criticism about this whole time, and comedy and comics and joke writing and all this stuff. I didn't listen to the audio. I imagine it was probably in bad taste. I read the transcript. So I can understand how people would feel about if you were joking about the Parkland shooting. Certainly something not to be joked about. I can understand if there's certain things that you can say about gender pronouns that can be funny. There's certain things that you can say, or a lot of other things that you can say that probably isn't funny at all. And then you couple that with the whole Kevin Hart and the Oscars thing, where they brought back all these tweets. And there's this like, did he apologize? Did he not apologize? So on and so forth. And it's sort of putting this cloud over comedy as a whole of what is okay, what is not okay, what is funny, what is not funny. And it matters to me a lot. Comedy is a big thing to me. You know, at Good Times with the Boys, our main weapon is comedy. We like to talk about the silly and weird things about life by making each other laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Correct.
So I can understand if a comic says a joke that you find offensive or just not good. That's fine. I can understand you in Kevin Hart's situation. I think somebody, I forgot who said it on Twitter, but somebody made a point of saying, listen, I know, you know, Kevin Hart's, one of his defenses was, I've already apologized for it. I want to move on. I think somebody said to Kevin Hart, like, it's all well and good that you apologize before, but if you do something like that really offends so many people, does it really hurt yourself to apologize again?
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I forgot I was saying that.
Yeah. It's like, is it really out of your character? Does it really take away from your image if you apologize again?
Right.
Because maybe people didn't hear the first apology. Maybe people aren't aware in context what that apology was for. Or maybe people just didn't believe your first apology. If you truly changed, if you truly are sorry about it, wouldn't you be sorry every single time? That logic I understand. The trouble I have in both scenarios is when people start to say that now we're like kind of like setting rules for aspect of life that is supposed to highlight the dark times. So there's always gonna be conflict. That's the whole premise of stand-up. That's the whole premise of telling jokes, is shining a light where light isn't and trying to make sense of it all by laughing at it. So yes, if you're on the boat where you feel Kevin should, like, what does it hurt to apologize? I completely understand that. I'm on your side. Like, yeah, it doesn't hurt Kevin Hart to be like, look, I'm really sorry. I fucked up. It was stupid. I'm really sorry. You know, I've moved on. I'm better for it, blah, blah, blah. Months later, somebody says again, it's like, yeah, you know, you're right. I'm really sorry about it. I feel bad about it. I haven't done it since. Like, it doesn't hurt him. It makes sense. I can understand it. And then on the Louis C.K. side, yeah, you maybe if you leave off 2 years ago by saying, I'm going to take a good hard look of who I am on the inside, and the first time you come out is trying jokes on shootings, there's a lot of other topics you can talk about that won't have such volatility and angst in that realm.
Yeah.
There's... But you shouldn't, but you also, the trouble is you should also not say, hey, comedy, here's the rules you play by. Now it's going to change, and it always change based on what we think, not the comics, what we think. But comedy is very much like any other, it's a performance art. You have to go out, you have to try the jokes, you have to see what hits, what doesn't hit, and then you have to go back to the drawing board, so to speak. You know, so that's the trouble right there.
It's a tough one. It really is. Just because, so comedians who are at any point, I personally believe that comedians, either the ones who are actually comedians or people who are self-proclaimed comedians, there is a degree of a mismatch in your brain somewhere. Your brain doesn't work. I'm not saying it works wrong, but it just works differently. Okay, I'll say it works. Comedians' brains work differently.
Or you just have to go through some really dark shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Some of the happiest people have been through the toughest times, dude.
And some of the happiest people have killed themselves. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Or
yeah.
seemingly happy, right?
That's a very, very big thing too.
And all they want to do is just release the valve by making other people laugh. But sometimes that's not enough. I didn't know about that clip. I personally, if I were an actual stand-up comedian, which would be cool, maybe one day, I'll try it out. I personally wouldn't use the hard R.
I would never even say the word.
However, I do understand it in certain types of contexts.
Yeah, if you're repeating what somebody is saying verbatim
Yes.
in a joke that you're trying to tell,
Yes.
sure. I wouldn't do it, but I can understand why somebody would do it, right?
But blatantly saying it,
But saying it with like just saying it for the joke, like for the impact of the word, I don't know. I don't agree with it.
yeah, that's facetious. I guess might be the right word, because
Yeah.
it's almost like that's literally like almost like a slap to the face, kind of like, I can do it. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's not highlighting any absurdity of life. You're just weaponizing a word.
Right. Good one.
You know?
Yeah.
It's tricky. And to some degree, to be a comedian, it takes some guts to really get out there and push the boundaries. You have to really explore. The trouble is, as audience members, we have to have some wiggle room. And as comedians, they have to also have some boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a working relationship where there's an ebb and a flow to it. But it's just weird, man. I think it's really tough for me to start making everything so bubble wrapped.
Too soft.
The world is not like that for anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're a white guy, but
Maybe.
But the world isn't, as Rocky says, all sunshines and rainbows. There's going to be so many times where you're going to get knocked down or tear your Achilles. And if you are not experiencing resistance, if you're not experiencing adversity, you're not going to know what to do when that time comes.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like how people prep, very much like how do you do anything in life. You have to repeatedly be in a scenario to understand what it takes to get out of that scenario. So I'm sorry. It's just a fact of life. You're not going to experience good forever, nor are you going to experience bad forever. So I don't know. It's just tricky.
I'm not going to, I'll say this on the record right now. I'm not going to dumb down myself. Obviously I have my own boundaries, of course. Mm-hmm. And Kangsan knows I've made fun of literally everything that this life has to offer. And there are some that I don't make fun of when Kangsan and I aren't talking, or if I'm not talking with the boys. If I'm trying to entertain people, I'll push the boundaries a little bit. But I'm not going to put a cap on myself, especially if I'm not doing it out of malice. But I think what we can attribute to we're so good at just like melding stuff. Our whole group, we're so good at how do you say, like working around and absorbing stuff, is because I think this problem is only going to persist and get worse.
Yeah. Because
of the breeding of like these participation awards. Everything is okay. Everyone's a winner. That, I think, to be honest, has a lot to do with that. Mm-hmm. Because I tell you what, when I was growing up, if I didn't get first place in my golf tournaments, my dad would look at me and say, "So you got second? That's the first loser." You know that? And I go, I learned early, and I was like, I know, Dad, I'll win next time. And Kangsan was brought up, the same way. It wasn't sunshine and rainbows. It wasn't marshmallowy. It wasn't soft. We weren't brought up that way.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just comedy is meant to do that. Comedy is meant to make you feel uncomfortable. Is meant to make you
push the envelope.
Yeah. Wonder why you laughed at it. The good jokes are the ones where you're laughing and you're like, wait a minute, that's a fucked up topic. Why am I laughing at that? Or laughing at it and being like, oh, you're right. I used to think it was serious, but it's so absurd.
Right.
The good comics and good comedy is all about that. So as an audience member, I think it's our due diligence to give them that freedom. And as comedians, it's their responsibility to not take advantage of that and run to the far ends of this spectrum.
Correct.
They have to kind of take steps and have to go with us. It's a two-way street, I think. A lot of times we think stand-up comedy is just them and us, but it's a two-way street. Yeah. All right, well, let's get ready for this Colts game.
Woo!
You ready?
Big game.
I'm ready. You're not wearing any Colts gear.
I I was honestly gonna go home first, but I am wearing a Boston shirt, so I don't need it. I don't need it, bro.
Okay.
I don't need it.
Okay.
It's in here.
Yeah. So check us out, Instagram and Twitter at _GTWTB. You can listen to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And I think other podcast apps that kind of aggregate. So if there's like a third-party app that kind of aggregates from any of those four, you can listen to it there. Any inquiries, questions, recommendations for my Achilles repair, Andrew at gtwtb.com. I would greatly appreciate it.
We're not scientists. We don't know anything.
Yeah. And so thanks for listening. On behalf of Germund and myself and the boys, until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I love you, I love you, I love you.